They laughed. They all laughed. The Galactic Council, made up of 27 proud species, stared at the message on the central display screen with a mix of confusion and disbelief. It was not a declaration of war, nor a plea for peace. It was simply a notice, just a few calm words from a voice none of them had ever heard before. "This is Commander Rue from Earth's Defense Fleet. We have dispatched a single ship to assist. Please stand by." The laughter began slowly, a few snorts from the more arrogant council members. Then came the mockery, the disbelief. A single ship? Are humans fools? Do they know what the Dominion is? Is this some kind of joke? The laughter didn't last long. Not after the ship arrived. Main story. The Dominion had invaded 22 systems in less than a year. Their biomechanical warships were massive and living, pulsing with sick light and organic metal. They consumed planets, harvested life, and tore fleets apart. No species had resisted them. Not even one dot, so when the humans, previously only myths to most, sent a single ship, the Council assumed it was a gesture of desperation or arrogance. They were wrong. Council Observer Danel, a reptilian tactician from the Clade, was the first to witness the human ship arrive. He stood aboard the neutral observation station in orbit over the shattered world of Terralis 4, the next likely target of the Dominion. The station trembled as the wormhole opened. From the swirling void came silence. Then a ship appeared. It was not large, barely the size of a mid-class frigate. It was shaped like a blade, long and narrow, and its surface shimmered with deep black that swallowed light. Strange markings pulsed across its skin, like veins glowing faintly blue, and it moved with a purpose. Inside, Commander Rue stared calmly at the incoming data. He was a man of medium height, short black hair, and sharp eyes that always looked like they were calculating something. Beside him sat Lieutenant Yoon, his navigator, a woman known for never blinking under pressure. "Visual. Contact confirmed," Yoon said. "Dominion scouts entering outer range." "Start the show," Rue replied. The Council had gathered on the observation deck, still unsure what to think. The Dominion force was coming. 15 war beasts, each larger than a city, crawling through space like monsters of legend. A single human ship moved. Then it disappeared. "What?" Someone gasped. But it wasn't gone. It had blinked, vanished from space, only to appear behind the Dominion scouts that had opened fire. But there was no sound, no flashing weapons. Just sudden, brilliant spears of energy that seemed to cut through the darkness like needles through cloth. Dominion ships that had survived entire fleets exploded in perfect silence. 1, 2, 3, 4 down in under 10 seconds. The council chamber fell quiet. "Are we seeing this in real time?" asked one counselor, a feline-like noble from Aretha. "This can't be possible," muttered another. On the human ship, Commander Rue calmly adjusted the weapons control interface. Adaptive targeting engaged. Their defense pattern is predictable. Initiating Phase 2, he said. EUN gave a small nod, impressed. They're not even reacting fast enough to understand they're under attack. And she was right. The Dominion ships weren't used to being hunted. Humans didn't fight the way the rest of the galaxy did. They didn't charge in rows. They didn't rely on size or numbers. They used speed, precision, intelligence, and fear. Commander Rue had spent the last 8 months studying Dominion movement patterns, response rates, and structural weaknesses. He knew their blind spots. He had planned this attack for one ship. Because one ship was enough? If it was human, the 5th Dominion cruiser tried to spin away. The human ship followed it with smooth grace, like a shark cutting through water. A small pod launched. The Dominion ship tried to shoot it down, but the pod blinked, just like the ship had, and entered the war beast's mouth. Seconds later, the massive creature exploded from the inside. The observation deck gasped. Even Council Observer Daniel, cold and logical, couldn't believe what he was seeing. "That's surgical destruction," he whispered. "Not even our best fleets could target so precisely." But Commander Rue wasn't finished. Inside the ship, Rue stood. "Lieutenant, control to you. I'll be in the pod bay." Yoon turned, surprised. "You're going outside?" "Time to send a message," Rue said. He entered a small drop pod, no bigger than a coffin. Inside it was a simple exosuit, nothing fancy. No heavy armor, just mobility, and one small plasma rifle that looked too tiny to matter. The pod shot into space. It aimed for the Dominion command ship, the largest and meanest dot from the observation deck. The Council watched in stunned silence as a single dot flew from the human ship toward the largest enemy vessel. "They're not serious," whispered the feline noble. "One man?" Daniel narrowed his eyes. "They're very serious." The pod blinked again, disappearing from sensors, then reappeared inside the Dominion command ship. 10 seconds later, the command ship shook inside the monstrous beast. Commander Rue walked alone through bloodlight corridors and screeching bio walls. He placed small charges silent and precise at the ship's nerve junctions. The ship roared in pain, its living flesh reacting, but too slowly by the time it realized what was happening. It was already too late. The explosion that followed didn't just destroy the command ship, it broke the morale of the remaining Dominion forces. They ran, 13 war beasts monsters that had destroyed entire species, turned and fled from a single human ship and a single human soldier. The battle was over in under 20 minutes. Hours later, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. They demanded to meet the human in person. Commander Rue arrived calmly, wearing the same black uniform with no medals or symbols. Just a simple earth patch. "Why?" asked Council Leader Narration, her voice shaking. "Why only one ship?" Rue stood with his hands behind his back. "Because we believed one was enough." The chamber was silent. "But why now?" asked Daniel, stepping forward. "Where have you been all this time?" Rue gave a faint smile. "Watching, listening, preparing. You see, we humans don't believe in rushing into wars we don't understand. But when we move," he looked around the room, "we make sure it matters." Counselor Narration still couldn't believe it. "You destroyed a Dominion fleet with one ship, one man." Rue nodded. "That was the point. But how?" "Our species have fought for decades and never achieved anything close." "Because you are fighting with pride," Rue said softly. "With fear, with desperation. We fight with purpose and with choice." A long silence followed. Then Daniel did something few had ever seen a Uran do. He bowed and slowly the others followed. Later that night, aboard the human ship, Lieutenant Yoon turned to Rue. "You knew this would work?" Rue smiled faintly. "No, but I knew we had to try. Sometimes the best way to send a message isn't with words." She leaned back in her chair, watching the stars drift past. "What message did we send today?" Rue stared out the viewport. "That humanity has arrived. And from now on, the galaxy would never forget it."